So welcome to, hold on. Well, it's not done yet, but it does move under its own power and leave massive slicks of oil. And okay, so it's got some leaks, including exhaust leaks, and I think the power steering is okay now, and it still has an oil leak and a coolant leak, but it holds fluid long enough for it to go from here to here, which is amazing. It's progressing. So today in part 7 or 8 or whatever part it is, the next part, we're going to cover everything I've done up till now and all of the things which that list keeps growing that I need to do from here till I can put plates on this truck. So a lot has happened since the last time I was able to film on this truck. One of the big things is my E34 is back on the road. I had to drop the subframe, replace the steering box, and fix a bunch of leaks, which it still has, kind of. Well, anyway, I can drive it every day and I love it. Back to the Land Cruiser. This was the problem. I don't know if you remember the end of the last episode, but the thing kind of ran rough, kind of had a dead miss at higher RPM, and I diagnosed the injectors were bad. Apparently, when these injectors are exposed to air for a long period of time, they can get stuck. So I didn't really want to take the injectors out of this truck, knowing that there was an issue, and have them cleaned in the hopes they would be okay. So I found a complete other set at my shop, and I ran them by a local place called Habibi Motorsports. They have an injector cleaner amongst other things, and they go through and clean and they put new pintle caps on them, and they put new O-rings on them. Basically make it to where they're ready to go. They check them, make sure everything's good, and they all flow within a certain percentage of each other. So that set was good. So I brought them back here and I installed them on this truck, and it runs like a completely different engine. I mean, it's amazing. It runs so good now. I also, I think you can tell it's a little bit quieter. I built an entire exhaust system for it, which was terrible. I am not an exhaust guy. I don't pretend to be an exhaust guy. I kind of can slap stuff together, and sometimes it comes out good. In this case, it's got some leaks I gotta fix. I try to use some V-bands. I'm not very good at it, but it's on the truck. And I also got the power steering system kind of fixed and all the leaks squashed. As you can see, it made it here without spraying power steering fluid all over the place, which was a huge improvement over the last time this truck moved, not under its own power. Last time it sprayed everywhere just from turning the wheels with it off. So anyway, I'm going to show you some of the things I've done, and then some of the long list of things that it needs. So yeah, I know I've got a lot of tidying up to do. This thing is by no means done, but this is the Corvette fuel filter, which I have slid right on the rail. Now you can't do that on an unmodified rail. What I did is, I don't know if you can see this, I cut the rail and I just kind of bent this ever so slightly using precision tools, my hand really, and just popped it right on. I'm going to end up building a bracket to support the weight, probably off of something off the top of the manifold, so that way this isn't supporting the weight, this bracket will be. And this fuel filter has the feed and return right here, which comes from the factory lines, which I've adapted using some brass crap I had laying around, which I'll probably do something nicer, which I didn't want. I didn't want that factory braided Corvette line, which I put on here thinking that I was smart, which that was dumb. But it didn't burn the truck down, didn't have the chance. So this is what I ended up doing. There's probably other ways to do this, but the Corvette fuel filter seems to be the preferred method. So one issue that I ran into that would not have been an issue had I test fit anything before I put the engine in was that the CTS V2 exhaust manifold would not seal properly to the head because it would make contact with the engine mount bracket supplied in the Mark's 4-wheel drive kit. So what I ended up doing is taking an angle grinder and cutting off the mounting ear for the heat shield, which doesn't really serve a purpose in this situation, and I also cut off part of the mount bracket. I probably took about a 3/8 of an inch off, not a lot, nothing that's going to affect its structural integrity. It was more of a pain in the butt just because the engine was in here. So if you're going to use these exhaust manifolds and these engine mount brackets, you're going to need to trim that. So I don't really have a proper intake yet. I did have the factory box here. Factory box is kind of restrictive. Not that I really care about power, but I'm going to make something a little cleaner. I'm thinking about using the factory Tahoe box. It's amazing that this actually fits underneath the stock hood. I don't understand how, because as you see the hood profile, it's pretty high off the top of the fenders, but it does fit. So if you wanted to use this, I'm sure there are better, more powerful things. You can put a cold air intake on it, but again, this swap is not really for power. It is just for being reliable and getting better gas mileage than it used to, which was awful. So the interior is still, it's a disaster. I mean, it's a disaster. So I've started making my provisions for the harness. Obviously I got butt connectors in there for now, but I'll make it proper once I get the tack working. I still cannot get the tack working. I don't understand why. I've got the digital box hooked up correctly, and even when I put it in a test mode, the tack just bounces when you connect the wire. I don't get it. I'm going to try a different box. Maybe the box is defective. Maybe there's something wrong with my truck. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe all of the above. Something else I need to do is the AC. It is hot as balls in this garage, and it's hot as balls outside. So I am going to run from the factory evaporator to the compressor, and from the compressor to this line here, which I got to figure out the fitting situation, but hopefully it's not too much of a bear to charge. Also have to wire up my cooling fan. I still don't know if this engine overheats or not, which these don't really have a problem with that, so fingers crossed we're good. Time to check out the exhaust that I built for it. Again, I think it's terrible. It's probably not that bad. So sometimes people ask me, well, aren't you a little, ow, that didn't feel good. I'm going to show you the exhaust I've built. So, first off, this is the tailpipe. We're going to start at the back. This was already on the truck from the last time I had a buddy of mine build exhaust for it. And so they did a good job. That part looks good. And they put a V-band right here. I know this is kind of hard to see. Here, let me grab a light. Alright, so that's a little bit easier to see. So they put a V-band here, which is nice. And what I did is I took the Y-pipe off of a 3 to 7, it probably changed at some point, 3 to 7 Silverado. I had one at the shop, and what's nice about that is it has this flat pipe right here, so you have a little extra ground clearance. It's a little oval pipe. I mean, again, this isn't built for performance. This is strictly to get the exhaust to the back of the vehicle. And I put one aftermarket converter on this side and a factory converter on this side because I'm an idiot. And that's what I thought I had, and I had more than that. So anyway, this is really tight in here. In fact, I'm going to have to probably trim a couple ears off the transfer case to keep that from vibrating. It may clearance itself, but I'm not going to wait for that to happen. And then I need to kind of tweak this pipe because that converter is kind of against the brake line, which we don't want to cook the brake fluid or have vibrations with this sitting on the cross member. So again, I kind of built this on the ground. It wasn't in the air, which is why it's so terrible. I put a V-band on this side and put a V-band on this side. And I'm also pretty certain that that dry shaft is going to make contact with that exhaust when I'm articulating the front end of this. So I'm not particularly fond of the way it sounds. It sounds like every 5.3 ever, but it doesn't sound bad, and it's not as loud as I thought, considering it has just converters and a really small muffler. So you are going to join my neighbors and listen to this thing rev at 10:30 at night. So it's time for a little bit of honesty. I don't know when I'm going to get this done. I wish I did. My goal is to get this done and licensed sometime in October. I would really prefer to not hand shovel snow, and I have a bracket and a plow for this thing, so that's kind of the goal. I have a lot of stuff to do. I didn't even cover everything I had to do in the video, and I'm sure once I get the next 4 or 5 things done, I'm going to find 4 or 5 more things that need to be done, which pretty sure that's how all projects go, because, well, that's what makes them a project. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe. There's going to be some videos on, hopefully, the Laguna Seca Blue M3 coming up, and 2 cars that I haven't even talked about ever.